Welcome back. Corruption in Nigeria is not just a word, it's a system. It shares place and shapes our economy, determines who gets justice and decides who prospers and who struggles. But what if technology, specifically blockchain, could change that story? What if transparency was built into our financial and governance system? Joining me now is someone who has dedicated his work to the possibility. Alex Umai, he's a megatronic system engineer, entrepreneur, and founder of GrubChain. Alex, you're welcome to the beam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure having you here. Let's get right into it. You know, corruption is that very important issue that has set us back for years now. And then the question is, for instance, GITEX is on today. It's one of the biggest tech and innovation events. Why should a thing like blockchain be a major issue that we are discussing today, even at GITEX?
Well, first of all, corruption is a very unfortunate thing, and it's sad to see Nigeria be kind of sitting in the sweet spot. However, let's dive into what the blockchain is. It's a public ledger of transactions, right, that anybody anywhere can go and see. There's a big concept of decentralized systems whereby no one single entity or government owns the computers or the infrastructure in which the database of transactions occurs, right? And so what you have is a distributed system whereby there's no single point of failure. There's no such thing as somebody coming to tell you like, oh, our banking systems are down, you can't process transactions, you can't view your assets, and all of that, right? So with the blockchain or with that comes visibility, right? I can see what transactions happen on the blockchain as they happen, I can see where value is transferred to, right? And by that way, it's secure, it's transparent, it creates trust.
Yeah, so in building this trust per se, like you said, you know, we are ranked as one of those corrupt nations, fraud, all those things. How would a thing like blockchain in itself, you know, directly attack, you know, these corruption cases that we have? For instance, say maybe if somebody had to do building projects, road projects, how would blockchain come to play a role there?
So one thing I forgot to add is that the data on the blockchain is immutable, right? So that means you can't actually go and change the transactions that have occurred on the blockchain. So what I think can actually happen here, if I were to design a system, right, it would be that I would create like wallet addresses for the government accounts, and I would be able to trace where every single allocation goes, right? So if the government is executing project XYZ, right, they now have a system in place whereby they can register their transactions there. They can also transact at near speed of light, basically have from one
thing that if the government, we want to be a responsible government, we want people to understand what we're doing, then they should be able to create wallets of that nature to say, hey, this is how we're spending, and we're not going to alter it, because that's what the blockchain would do.
Absolutely. Well, they can't alter it. It's the nature of the blockchain. Nobody can go and alter it, right? So you can have a very, you can have a trust system.
All right, so there's a race then when it comes to the blockchain movement in the world today. And then the question becomes, why should we position ourselves now? You know, what is at stake as a nation when it comes to that race, you know, to making sure that we have this, our digital assets and all the rest?
Well, the blockchain, think of it this way, it's like the next generation of financial technology, right? Do we want to fall behind while the rest of the world adopts this technology? That's a question I would ask, right? So I think we need to invest in builders. Nigeria has a strong or a large number of youth population who are talented, right? They can build unimaginable things. We need to invest in the people building these. Now, it cascades into several other things. For example, I could have builders who create the next billion-dollar companies, for example. Those could come out of here in Nigeria, right? That stimulates the economy, that creates jobs, that positions us as the giant of Africa that we claim to be.
So where does a thing like GrubChain come into play? I mean, for instance, we're talking payment systems, and then people would say, hey, we're already transacting here in Nigeria. We have some of these bank apps and all the rest. What does blockchain bring to the, you know, to the fore that is different, that can really change the game when it comes to finances, basically?
Well, At blockchain, we're building payment systems that allow users to spend their digital assets, right? We're using this as an entry point to onboard the next billion users onto crypto or blockchain, as you might have it, right? And with that comes financial inclusion, right? There are so many aspects of the blockchain that, or let's say the economy in general, that is inaccessible to the common man. Right? With the blockchain, you can be able to create systems that allow people in remote communities access financial tools. And I'll give you an example. A farmer somewhere in, let's say, Maiduguri, just as an example, can access loans on decentralized financial platforms without having to worry about, oh, how do I transport myself to a bank? And when I get to the bank, are they able to look at my face because, I'm or you can have on the blockchain, and you can access global economy. Templates, right? So I use tools built by developers in Korea. I can use tools built by developers in America. So that's what the blockchain presents. It presents the opportunity to create a more inclusive system that is fair to everybody.
So you think if we're going to that digital economy, then we have to be able to leverage on blockchain technology?
Absolutely.
For instance, now, if the nation move to blockchain technology. For instance, we just had the American, president, do the whole GDPs. I think it was the second one, GDP on Ethereum or something like that.
Yeah.
What does such a thing do for a nation? And can we do it here in Nigeria, seeing that we are not the same population, we're not the same people?
Yeah, we can do it. There's nothing stopping us from doing it. And what you're referring to is the U.S. government basically published GDP data on the blockchain.
Yes.
And back to the concept of data. Right, so it's accurate data, it's verified data, it's on the blockchain, it's publicly accessible. We can do that as well. We can put our numbers on the blockchain for anybody to go and see.
But the fear is that there might be a more developed nation and have more people that understand blockchain. How do we bring it home to make sure that the average citizen understands this?
Education. We invest in people who would actually educate us, and we have to stop being so
uptight
about it. It's just technology. Everything that we use today is technology. This is technology. The blockchain is technology.
So again, we have to go back into what really does the blockchain do that many other tech cannot do for us. For instance, the question will come: how does blockchain transform Nigeria in such a way that we can move from oil dependence to a tech-driven powerhouse? How does that happen?
There are many things there, actually. There's stuff like Bitcoin mining. We can have companies invest in the infrastructure to mine Bitcoin, which is a digital asset of tremendous value, right? You can have remittances being done on the blockchain, right? Permissionlessly. You can have money flow from Nigerians in diaspora, bring it back to the local economy and stimulate growth.
All right, let me hold that thought. We're going to come back to that thought. You're watching The Beam, a place where the old is reckoned with and the new is brought into for. The future is redefined here. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more questions for Alex.